In the year of 2000, a huge match-fixing scandal happened in Indian cricket. After the incident, Sachin Tendulkar and other 3 senior cricketers played important role ensured that the players banned by BCCI and whose performance was dubious were never picked for the Indian team again. Sachin and co. did this work quietly without doing public statements. The continued calls for Tendulkar to be made captain, the offer of captaincy in 2007 and his rejection of the offer. There are numerous articles relating to where his faults were in captaincy. In India's 2001 tour of South Africa, in the second test match between India and South Africa at St. George's Park, Port Elizabeth, match referee Mike Dennis fined 4 Indian players for excessive appealing, as well as fined the Indian captain Sourav Ganguly for not controlling his team. Tendulkar was given a suspended ban of 1 game by Dennis in light of alleged ball tampering. Television cameras picked up images that suggested Tendulkar may have been involved in cleaning the seam of the cricket ball. This can, under some conditions, amount to altering the condition of the ball. Dennis found Sachin Tendulkar guilty of ball tampering charges and handed him a 1 test match ban. The incident escalated to include sports journalists accusing Dennis of racism, and led to Dennis being barred from entering the venue of the 3rd test match. The ICC revoked the status of the match as a test as the teams rejected the appointed referee. The charges against Tendulkar and Sehwag's ban for excessive appealing triggered a massive backlash from the Indian public. Sachin Tendulkar continued performing well in Test cricket in 2001 and 2002, with some pivotal performances with both bat and ball. Tendulkar took 3 wickets on the final day of the famous Kolkata Test against Australia in 2001, including the key wickets of Matthew Hayden and Adam Gilchrist, who were centurions in the previous test. His 3 wickets haul helped India win the match. In the 5-match ODI series that followed, he took his 100th wicket in ODIs, claiming the wicket of then Australian captain Steve Waugh in the final match at the Fatorda Stadium in Goa. In the 2002 series in the West Indies, Tendulkar started well, scoring 79 in the first test. In the second test at Port of Spain, Sachin Tendulkar scored 117 in the first innings, his 29th test century in his 93rd test match, to equal Sir Donald Bradman's record of 29 test hundreds. He was gifted a Ferrari 360 Modena by Fiat through Michael Schumacher for achieving this feat. Then, in a hitherto unprecedented sequence, he scored 0, 0, 8 and 0 in the next 4 innings. He returned to form in the last test, scoring 41 and 86, 1 half-century. However, India lost the series. In this period, in the 3rd test match against England in August 2002, Sachin scored his 30th test century to surpass Bradman's haul in his 99th test match. Tendulkar made 673 runs in 11 matches in the 2003 Cricket World Cup, helping India reach the final. While Australia retained the trophy that they had won in 1999, Tendulkar was given the Man of the Tournament award. He continued to score heavily in ODI cricket that year, with 200s in a tri-series involving New Zealand and Australia. As a part-time bowler, he dismissed an exhausted centurion, Matthew Hayden, in the tri-series final. The drawn series as India toured Australia in 2003-04 saw Tendulkar making his mark in the last test of the series, scoring 241. Not out from 436 balls with 33 fours at a strike rate of 55.27 in Sydney, putting India in a virtually unbeatable position. He spent 613 minutes at the crease during the innings. He followed this up with an unbeaten 60 in the second innings of the test. Prior to this test match, he had had an unusually horrible run of form, failing in all 6 innings in the preceding 3 tests. It was no aberration that 2003 was his worst year in Test cricket, with an average of 17.00 and just 150. Tendulkar scored an unbeaten 194 against Pakistan at Multan in the following series. Indian captain Rahul Dravid declared before Tendulkar reached 200. Had he done so, it would have been the 4th time he had passed the landmark in tests. Tendulkar said that he was disappointed and that the declaration had taken him by surprise. Many former cricketers commented that Dravid's declaration was in bad taste. After the match, which India won, Dravid said that the matter had been discussed internally and put to rest. A tennis elbow injury then took its toll on Tendulkar, leaving him out of the side for most of the year, coming back only for the last 2 tests when Australia toured India in 2004. He played a part in India's victory in Mumbai in that series with a fast 55, though Australia took the series 2-1. On 10 December 2005 at Firoz Shah Kotla, Tendulkar scored his record-breaking 35th Test century against the Sri Lankans. After this, Tendulkar endured the longest spell of his career without a Test century. 17 innings elapsed before he scored 101 against Bangladesh in May 2007. Tendulkar scored his 39th ODI 100 on 6 February 2006 in a match against Pakistan. He followed with a 42 in the second one-day international against Pakistan on the 11th of February 2006, and then a 95 in hostile seeming conditions on the 13th of February 2006 in Lahore, which set up an Indian victory. On the 19th of March 2006, after being dismissed for only 1 run against England in the first innings of the 3rd Test in his home ground, Wankhede, Tendulkar was booed off the ground by a section of the crowd, the first time that he had ever faced such flack. Tendulkar ended the 3-Test series without a half-century to his credit, and the need for a shoulder operation raised more questions about his longevity. Tendulkar's comeback came in the DLF Cup in Malaysia, and he was the only Indian batsman to shine. In his comeback match against West Indies on 14 September 2006, Tendulkar responded to his critics who believed that his career was inexorably sliding with his 40th ODI century. Though he scored 141 not out, West Indies won the rain-affected match by the DL method. The drawn series as India toured Australia in 2003-04 saw Tendulkar making his mark in the last test of the series, scoring 241 not out from 436 balls with 33 fours at a strike rate of 55.27 in Sydney, putting India in a virtually unbeatable position. He spent 613 minutes at the crease during the innings. He followed this up with an unbeaten 60 in the second innings of the Test. Prior to this Test match, he had had an unusually horrible run of form, failing in all 6 innings in the preceding 3 Tests. It was no aberration that 2003 was his worst year in Test cricket, with an average of 17.00 and just 150. Tendulkar scored an unbeaten 194 against Pakistan at Multan in the following series. Indian captain Rahul Dravid declared before Tendulkar reached 200. Had he done so, it would have been the 4th time he had passed the landmark in tests. Tendulkar said that he was disappointed and that the declaration had taken him by surprise. Many former cricketers commented that Dravid's declaration was in bad taste. After the match, which India won, Dravid said that the matter had been discussed internally and put to rest. A tennis elbow injury then took its toll on Tendulkar, leaving him out of the side for most of the year, coming back only for the last 2 tests when Australia toured India in 2004. He played a part in India's victory in Mumbai in that series with a fast 55, though Australia took the series 2-1. On 10 December 2005 at Firoz Shah Kotla, Tendulkar scored his record-breaking 35th Test century against the Sri Lankans. After this, Tendulkar endured the longest spell of his career without a Test century. 17 innings elapsed before he scored 101 against Bangladesh in May 2007. Tendulkar scored his 39th ODI 100 on 6 February 2006 in a match against Pakistan. He followed with a 42 in the second one-day international against Pakistan on the 11th of February 2006, and then a 95 in hostile seeming conditions on 13 February 2006 in Lahore, which set up an Indian victory. On 19 March 2006, after being dismissed for only one run against England in the first innings of the third Test in his home ground, Wankhede, Tendulkar was booed off the ground by a section of the crowd, the first time that he had ever faced such flack. Tendulkar ended the three-Test series without a half-century to his credit, and the need for a shoulder operation raised more questions about his longevity. Tendulkar's comeback came in the DLF Cup in Malaysia and he was the only Indian batsman to shine. In his comeback match, against West Indies on 14 September 2006, Tendulkar responded to his critics who believed that his career was inexorably sliding with his 40th ODI century. Though he scored 141 not out, West Indies won the rain-affected match by the DL method. In the subsequent Test series against Bangladesh, Tendulkar returned to his opening slot and was chosen as the man of the series. He continued by scoring 99 and 93 in the first two matches of the Future Cup against South Africa. During the second match, he also became the first to score 15,000 runs in ODIs. He was the leading run scorer and was adjudged the man of the series. On the second day of the Nottingham Test on 28 July 2007, Tendulkar became the third cricketer to complete 11,000 Test runs. In the subsequent one-day series against England, Tendulkar was the leading run scorer from India with an average of 53.42. In the ODI series against Australia, in October 2007, Tendulkar was the leading Indian run scorer with 278 runs. Tendulkar was dismissed 5 times in 2007 between 90 and 100, including 3 times at 99, leading some to suggestions that he struggles to cope with nervousness in this phase of his innings. Tendulkar has got out 27 times in the 90s during his international career. In a 5 ODI series against Pakistan, he was caught by Kamran Akmal off the bowling of Umar Gul for 99 in the second match at Mohali, and in the fourth match of that series, he got out in the 90s for a second time, scoring 97 before dragging a delivery from Gul on to his stumps. In 2008 India's tour of Australia, at Sydney Test, Andrew Symonds accused Harbhajan Singh for racist comments. Symonds accused Harbhajan Singh for calling him a monkey. This matter is dubbed as Inquat, Monkey Gate Inquat, by Australian media. Singh was suspended by the match ICC referee after hearing Sachin Tendulkar was standing on non-strikers. And, at that moment, when Symonds claimed racist comments happened in the hearing of match referee, Sachin said to the ICC match referee Mike Proctor, he cannot say exactly what Inquat, Baji Inquat, Singh said to Symonds, but in next hearing Tendulkar changed his stance and said to match referee that Harbhajan did not said Symonds Inquat, monkey Inquat, but said Inquat, Terry Ma ki, Inquat. In Hindi it means, your mother's. On this matter in his autobiography, Inquat, Playing My Way Inquat, Sachin Tendulkar wrote, and quote, "Teri maa ki." It is an expression we often use in North India to vent our anger, and to me it all part of the game, and quote. The matter became big in following days and nearly led to cancellation this tour. Referee suspended Singh for 3 tests, but after appeal and Sachin's statement in hearing, the suspension was overturned. Andrew Simmons later said in Monkey Gate 10 Years On, a documentary that was based on this matter, and quote, "When I began to play for Mumbai Indians, IPL franchise, once Harbhajan Singh came to me and apologized," end quote. Simmons said in the documentary, end quote, "We go to a very wealthy man's place for a barbecue, drinks, and dinner one night, and the whole team's there, and he had guests there, and Harbhajan said, 'Mate, can I speak to you for a minute out in the garden out the front?' He goes, 'Look, I've got to say sorry to you for what I did to you in Sydney. I apologize,' end quote. Herald Sun quoted, "Tendulkar is still not," end quote, "forgiven," end quote, by some Aussie players for changing his account on Monkey Gate, dubbed Sachin as Indian, end quote, demigod, end quote. In the Border Gavaskar Trophy 2007-08, Tendulkar showed exceptional form, becoming the leading run scorer with, end quote, 493 runs in 4 tests, despite consistently failing in the second innings. Sachin scored 62 runs in the first innings of the first test at the MCG in Melbourne, but could not prevent a heavy 337-run win for Australia. In the controversial New Year's Test at Sydney, Tendulkar scored an unbeaten 154. Even though India lost the test, this was his 3rd century at the SCG and his 38th Test century overall, earning him an average of 326 at the ground at the time of completing the innings. In the 3rd Test at the WACA cricket ground in Perth, Sachin was instrumental in India's first innings score of 330, scoring a well-compiled 71. India went on to record a historic triumph at the WACA, ending Australia's run of 16 consecutive wins. In the 4th Test at the Adelaide Oval, which ended in a draw, he scored 153 in the first innings, being involved in a crucial 126-run stand with V.S. Laxman for the 5th wicket to lead India to a score of 282 for 5 from 156 for 4. He secured the Man of the Match award. In the one-day international Commonwealth Bank Tri-Series involving India, Sri Lanka and Australia, Tendulkar became the only batsman to complete 16,000 runs in ODIs. He achieved this feat against Sri Lanka on 5 February 2008 at the Gabba in Brisbane. He started the series WTH scores of 10, 35, 44 and 32. His form dipped a bit in the middle of the tournament, but Tendulkar came back strongly in India's must-win game against Sri Lanka at the Bellerive Oval in Hobart, scoring 63 off 54 balls. He finished the series with a match-winning 117 not out off 120 balls in the first final, and 91 runs in the second final. Both the knocks were nominated to be the ODI Batting Performance of the Year by ESPN Cricinfo. South Africa toured in March and April 2008 for a 3-test series. Tendulkar scored a 5-ball duck in his only innings of the series. He sustained a groin strain in the match and as a result was forced not only to miss the second and third tests, but also the tri-series involving Bangladesh, the 2008 Asia Cup, and the first half of the inaugural season of the IPL. Before the Indian cricket team's tour of Sri Lanka in July 2008, Tendulkar needed 177 runs to go past Brian Lara's record of Test 11,953 runs. However, he failed in all 6 innings, scoring a total of 95 runs. India lost the series and his average of 15.83 was his worst in a test series with at least 3 matches. In the following ODI series against Sri Lanka, Tendulkar was sidelined due to injury. However, during the following Australia tour of India, he returned to fitness and form, scoring 13 and 49 in the first test before making 88 in the first innings of the second test, breaking the record for most test runs held by Brian Lara. He also reached the 12,000 run mark when he was on 61. He described the achievement as the biggest in 19 years of his career on the day he achieved the record. He made a 50 in the third test and 109 in the fourth, as India won the series 2-0 and regained the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Tendulkar was again out of the first 3 ODIs of a 7-match ODI series at home against England due to an injury, but he made 11 in the fourth ODI and 50 in the fifth, before the series was called off due to the 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks, the scoreline being 5-0 to India. England returned for a 2-match test series in December 2008, and the first test, which was originally planned to be held in Mumbai, was shifted to Chennai following the terror attacks. Chasing 387 for victory in that match, Tendulkar scored 103 not out and shared a 163-run unbroken fifth-wicket partnership with Yuvraj Singh. This was his third century in the fourth innings of a test match, and the first which resulted in a win. He dedicated this century to the victims of the Mumbai terror attacks. The knock was nominated to be one of the Test batting performance of the year by ESPN Cricinfo. Tendulkar scored poorly in the second test at Mohali, which ended in a draw. India won the series 1-0. In early 2009, India revisited Sri Lanka for 5 ODIs, as the Pakistan series had been cancelled due to the security situation in Pakistan and the attacks in Mumbai. Tendulkar scored 5, 6 and 7 in the first 3 matches, being dismissed leg before wicket in all of them, and did not play in the remaining 2 matches. India's next assignment was an away series against New Zealand, consisting of 3 tests and 5 ODIs. In the ODI series, Tendulkar made an unbeaten 163 in the third match, before stomach cramps forced him to end his innings. India made 392, won the match and eventually won the series 3-1. Tendulkar made 160 in the first test, his 42nd test century, and India won. He made 49 and 64 in the second test and 62 and 9 in the third, in which play was halted on the last day due to rain, with India needing only 2 wickets to win. India won the series 1-0. Tendulkar rested himself for the ODI tour of West Indies, but was back for the Compact Cup series between India, Sri Lanka and New Zealand in early September 2009. He made 46 and 27 in the league matches before notching up 138 in the final, as India made 319 and won by 46 runs. This was Tendulkar's 6th century in a final of an ODI tournament and his 3rd consecutive score of over 50 in such finals. Tendulkar played only 1 innings in the ICC Champions Trophy in South Africa, scoring 8 against Pakistan as India lost. The next match against Australia was abandoned due to rain and he was out with a stomach infection in the third match against the West Indies, as India were eliminated.